Melbourne is facing a growing water crisis. A drier climate, a booming population, and the rise of water-hungry data centres are all putting pressure on the city's unreliable supply. Much of Victoria saw below-average rainfall in 2025, and major water storages are down compared with last year. Melbourne's storage, for example, is currently at 76%, 12% lower than the same time last year. The state government has stepped in, tapping 50 billion litres from the Victorian Desalination Plant, which turns seawater into drinking water. If the weather remains dry, Melbourne and Geelong could face severe water restrictions in 2026, even with the desalination plant operating at full capacity. As rainfall declines, Victoria's already strained water supply faces mounting pressures. One of these is an influx of new residents. The state is staging a comeback after it experienced a population exodus during COVID, largely due to strict lockdown measures. In the year to June, the state gained 123,000 people, mostly from overseas migration. Another concern is the rise of AI, and with it, the data centres that provide compute power for applications like ChatGPT. Most large data centres today generate extreme heat and rely on massive amounts of water, which evaporates during the cooling process. Some centres use closed-loop cooling systems and don't draw on local water supplies, but these remain the exception. Australia-based data centres are seen as crucial to national security and data privacy, but the AI industry is thirsty for Melbourne's water. In July, it emerged that Greater Western Water was reviewing 19 applications from data centres that would collectively consume almost 19 billion litres of water per year. That's equivalent to the annual usage of 330,000 Melburnians. Saul Cavendish, head of energy research at MST Macquarie, said the sudden water demand from data centres had caught state governments on the back foot. Mr. Cavendish warned that much more investment in water supply was needed. In Victoria, an expert task force is working on the problem.
The problem is we aren't investing enough in our water supply just to meet current demand from population growth, let alone this sudden increase in demand from very important data centre growth. The government-dominated planning cycles for our water investments are simply too bureaucratic and too long to be able to adapt to new technologies like we're seeing with data centres. And again, that's coming on top of an underinvestment and being behind the eight ball on water investment in general over the last several years.
One option is to expand the desalination plant or build a new one to Melbourne's west. But Tim Fletcher from the University of Melbourne said there were much better solutions.
You can see the attraction of seawater, can't you? It's this sort of near infinite resource, but it's highly polluted, if you want to think of it that way, in the sense that it's got a very high salt concentration. You need this reverse osmosis process to remove that salt, and that takes a lot of energy. In stormwater, you have essentially no salt, so you don't need to apply any desalination. In wastewater, you still have salts, but they're much lower concentrations, so the level of reverse osmosis is a lot less. There are much more energy efficient ways of producing water than desalination.
Desalination is costly and energy intensive, demanding large amounts of electricity from a grid that will already be stretched once the data centres are complete. The professor explained that when cities grow, they generate increasing amounts of wastewater and stormwater. Harvesting stormwater is cheaper than desalination, and it also helps to solve other issues like erosion and flooding.
Every time we expand our cities, of course we're using more water resources, but we're also generating more water. So we generate a whole lot of wastewater that can be treated and recycled. Technology well established for many decades, it's already done. And we also generate a whole lot of runoff every time it rains, called stormwater. Again, technology well established for treating that. Treating both of those, wastewater or stormwater, is much cheaper than desalination.
Mr. Fletcher said data centres could also be built close to water sources, like recycled wastewater.
It's really important that for each limited dollar we've got to invest, we get the most benefits for society.
It's not clear how Melbourne's water woes will be solved, but it will certainly take foresight and innovative thinking. And in the short term, it's the city's residents who will bear the cost.